Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Goodman, Director of Marketing and Development for the YMCA of Northwest Louisiana, and we're here in our new space at 318 Latino Studios for Shreveport-Bossier, my city, my community, my home, and can't wait to have today's discussion. Our guest is Dr. Kyle Pierce. Kyle, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Excited to sit down with you.
Yeah.
So, Kyle, these are my words, but I stand by them. You are a world-renowned sports scientist. So let's start here today. You once said the following. This is you talking about yourself. You said, I wasn't a very good athlete. It took me 5 years to get a half scholarship. I wasn't doing things right. I wanted to figure out how can I do it better and how can I help somebody else do it better. I'm still learning about how to help people with their performance in sports. So my first question for you today is just, if you could, tell me about some of your day-to-day work today at LSUS.
Well, I teach there. I coach weightlifting, and of course, I'm involved with research, and still try to do that, and really try to promote, with the students at LSUS, and also when I do seminars in different countries to promote sports science. So, we've made a lot of advances in sports science over the years, and I think we just can't do things anymore with like the way it was done with us and, handed down. Some of those things are good, but, there's so many new ways and better ways to do things, and I think we need to rely on science as a base for coaching.
So we had Dr. Andrews come and speak at the Y a couple years ago. Like you, I believe, Dr. Andrews is strongly opposed to early sports specialization. Talk to me, if you could, about the dangers of early sports specialization and your perspective on why our kids should not specialize in one sport at too young of an age.
Well, you do increase the risk of injury, not just physical, but psychological as well. There can be issues with too much pressure too soon with young kids. So in addition to the physical injuries that can occur, the psychological problems can occur also. So, a lot of times you don't know what kids are going to be good at. It's good to give them opportunity to see what sport they like, where they excel. And I think it develops an overall athletic abilities by, doing a variety of activities there. There's a lot of problems with overuse, with doing too much. I know in baseball, where kids are out throwing too often, too fast, and such. There's a misconception with weightlifting. Of course, the two things are it stunts your growth and it damages growth plates. Well, there's no real evidence. If you ask someone to find that in the literature, you really can't find that. And I don't know where those came from. Of course, with any sport, if you do too much too soon, you can damage growth plates. And with stunting of growth, I imagine that could possibly have come from the fact that many times shorter people do well in weightlifting. But I always say that, just because you weightlift, it doesn't make you short, just like it doesn't make you tall if you go out and play basketball. I wonder, I think possibly like in the early 1900s with the Industrial Revolution in England, that I guess there were a lot of kids working. They may have collected data then. There may be kids didn't grow as much there. There may have been stunting of growth, but that could have also been from malnourishment as well, possibly. So I don't know where that one came from, but that rumor's out there, but nobody can find any hard evidence that it does that.
And is there a sweet spot, in your opinion, in terms of like what is the ideal age to say this kid is clearly showing some unusual talent in this particular sport to really benefit from this display of talent that they're showing? We need them now to just focus on that one sport.
Well, some countries do talent identification. So like in China, they may be testing, looking at the best athletes like in elementary school, and the elementary school may be letting coaches know that. They actually come in and do some tests to see a variety of tests, sort of looking at sprints and jumps and flexibility and limb lengths. This was done in the Soviet Union. And they can sort of identify what sport someone might have a better chance of excelling in. And we're not doing that. We're not really. We did some, when I first came here, or back here, and when we started our weightlifting development center, I did some talent ID at one of the schools, but all I was doing was identifying the best football, basketball, and baseball players. They didn't want to become weightlifters, but a lot of people do talent ID. Different sports, really, there's peak performance age differs. So, generally with gymnasts, it's younger than it would be with weightlifters, and at different ages, there's a lot of good work. This has been done for many years, but I think we hear about long-term athlete development, LTAD, and a lot of that work was done in Canada by Shreveport-Bossier. Many countries now have long-term athlete development plans for each sport. You probably find that on the internet. If you can't, you can get in touch with me and I'll steer you in the right direction. But yeah, there's plans for different sports, and there's different peak ages for, beginning and training and competing, and actually goes from birth to death with a lot of these, and kids just, being active early on. They talk about kids doing activities that focus on the ABCs, agility, balance, coordination, and speed. So, activities like that are good for kids. I always say for weightlifters, gymnastics, dancing, those would be good prerequisites, because they, tumbling, all those things that would develop good movement skills, good motor skills, and just coordination, flexibility, and again, the agility, balance, coordination type things.
So this LTAD...
Yeah, that's what generally is referred to.
That's something you support. In
most cases.
You agree with that for the most part.
Yeah, I think...
This, I forget what you called it, but what China and some of these other countries were doing, you believe in that too, the early testing? And
I don't know about that. I think, you can't say that, okay, some kid dreams of being a baseball player. I don't believe you can say, your tests show you'd be a better tennis player. I don't know. I think a lot of it's, you got to do what you like to do. One good thing, if we did something like that, it might help, kids, help to determine what sport they might, have a better chance of doing better in than another sport would be the only thing. But I think, in our society, I think we give kids a lot of chances to try different things, to see what ones they like and what ones that they're good in. So accomplish everything. They get to sample things. We're not early specialization. They get to try a bunch of different activities, develop a lot of different abilities, and then, as they get closer, they narrow things down to what they really like and what they really perform well in.
Love that. Yeah, my next question was going to be around. I knew you had gone on record a lot about saying you didn't agree that early weightlifting stunted growth. So I had pulled a long quote from you, but you kind of hit that. So I'm gonna move forward. You've been the coach for U.S. athlete Kendrick Farris at the Olympics, as well as the head coach for Ghana at the Olympics. I came across this in my research, and I thought this was pretty amazing. I read that you had never traveled outside of the U.S. until your 40s, but just in recent months, you've been everywhere from Saudi Arabia, Burundi, Rwanda, Kyrgyzstan, Azerbaijan, and Cuba. So talk to me, if you could, about some of the work you're doing when you're traveling to these different countries.
Actually, this is through the International Olympic Committee Solidarity Program for education, and through the International Weightlifting Federation. So I'll go, and usually it's about a week. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer. In general, I work with coaches. Sometimes it's working with athletes, but it's primarily coaches. And I'll do maybe a week-long seminar, and we'll talk about, of course, I stress the sports science, but then we'll talk about the different areas of exercise and sports science. Now, really, the difference in those is that if you talk about exercise science and sports science, or exercise psychology and sports psychology, one is how exercise can benefit someone health-wise, but then it's basically the same, but if you're talking sports science, it's more how can you use science to help performance there. And so I'll talk about that, and we'll get into we'll talk about physiology and how it's applied to weightlifting and biomechanics and technique, and we'll talk about sports psychology, mental health, we'll get into some to nutrition, just a variety of topics related. We always talk about anti-doping and talking about safe sport things, safeguarding and such. So it's a variety of topics that I'll work with the coaches on there.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful opportunity. And also, lately I have a volunteer position with USA Weightlifting. I'm the Director of International Relations, and so they help support me. Also, I'm a recipient of the George Curry professorship, and I've been able to combine those to use USA Weightlifting and George Curry professorship to go to countries like Burundi and Rwanda there to help them.
Love it. So you were inducted into USA Weightlifting's Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And you mentioned this, but I believe currently serve as the Director of International Relations at USA Weightlifting.
Yes.
And are a member of the Coaching and Research Committee with the International Weightlifting Federation.
Right.
On this particular podcast, we often talk about why so many people have self-esteem issues when talking about Shreveport-Bossier being their home. For someone who Shreveport-Bossier has been great to, and who has been great to Shreveport-Bossier, how have you managed to see Shreveport-Bossier as a great location for you to use as a home base, as a place that's not limiting, and as a place you can convince great people from all around the world to come to?
People like to come here. We've had different countries come here for training camps. Colombian team came here for about 6 weeks, and had the French team has been here, Canada numerous times. We have the Australian team came here. We've actually hosted in the past. We hosted the Pan American Championships, and then twice the North America, Central America, Caribbean Islands Championships. Everybody liked coming here. We've had a lot of students come here to go to school here. Right now we have 2 girls here. We have one girl from Nigeria and one girl from Ghana here training, and they both competed in the African Games back in March, and they'll compete in the Friendship Cup, which is a meet sponsored by U.S. Weightlifting in Fort Worth at the end of August there. But yeah, the people like it here. We get good support here. We get really great support from people here, and people. There's a camp going on right now at LSUS, and the kids are from all over, and they like it here. I like it here. I came here on a 1-semester appointment in January of 1990. I'm still here.
It's amazing. And I mean, you won't say it, but clearly, that's a huge testament to you and to the work that you've done and to everything you've built here and at LSUS, that you're able to attract those people and that kind of talent.
Yeah, but I've had a lot of help. There's a lot of people that have helped. There's a lot of organizations that have helped, the LSUS, and so, I've had plenty of help.
And what do you say to people who look at you and say, I'd like to replicate, not necessarily in weightlifting, but I'd like to do what Kyle has done for Shreveport. I'd like to set up shop here and do something great and have the rest of the world come here and make it even better or participate in it? Do you have any words of
Yeah,
wisdom?
have patience. That's what I always say. That's one of the greatest attributes of a good coach is you got to have patience. And talking about the long-term athlete development, things don't happen overnight. So you got to be patient. It doesn't, it takes a while to get things rolling there as far as, attracting people here. And, just like with sports, it takes a long time to develop an athlete.
Love that. Well, Kyle, those were my formal questions. As I told you at the beginning, are there other things? I mean, I know you start doing research on you, and you've done an extraordinary amount in your 34 years since arriving here. Are there other things? We have all the time in the world. There are other things that you'd like to share or mention while we're here?
Well, I do want to mention we have a free program for children at LSUS. So in the summer, we're there 1 to 3, Monday through Thursday, and Saturday morning, 10 to 12. If the kids like it, they can join USA Weightlifting. The first year is $35 if they're under 17. After that, it's $50. And if they get older and still doing it, it's a little bit more. But we don't take any money at LSUS. The kids can come in for their sport because so many people are doing the weightlifting movements, the derivatives, the snatch, and the clean and jerk for sport. And so they can come in, they could be weightlifters, or they can, use that for their sport. So, Kendrick came in when he was 11, and he was in there with us for 19 years. So, so we're still there for the kids. When school starts, we'll be in there from 4 to 6, Monday through Thursday. There's programs for the kids. They don't just come in and do their own thing. It's supervised by qualified weightlifting instructors, strength and conditioning coaches. So, I always like to promote and let people know that, it's available. I'm always available if people have questions. I'm not, trying to make this, I'm a professor. I'm not trying to make a living off the side, promoting exercise. I just love to do it. It's a passion for me, not so much of a profession. So.
Well, and I encourage people, it's not every day. I mean, it's not like we have hundreds of Olympic coaches in our backyard. So certainly anyone who has a young athlete or a young kid and who's interested at all in taking advantage of someone with Kyle's level of expertise, I highly encourage everyone out there listening to go check it out.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to share or mention?
No,
anything we should be as the Olympics start?
Now the U.S. is going to do very well this year. We got some good athletes there. So the U.S. used our facility a few years ago for training camp, and one of the girls, Olivia Reeves, she was here, and I think she's got a good shot to win a gold medal. It'll be the first time in a long time U.S. athletes won a gold in the Olympic Games there. So that'd be great. They got a really good team. They got a good staff. They're ready to go.
Well, I really appreciate you being here. I've heard your name, and you're definitely a local legend, and it's a real opportunity to have you here and to finally sit down with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
Of course.